up, everyone? It's David. Welcome back to Gem Mint MTG, where we talk about collecting and grading Magic the Gathering cards. Today is a little bit of sweet spice that just makes everybody feel better about the world that we live in, that can often be filled with scammers and people trying to take your money, sell fake cards, and all that crap that happens on these platforms that we have to participate in. So today's story is about BGS 9.5 Library of Alexandria that was sold on eBay and ended up going through a crazy story of scams, lies, mail theft, and ultimately the arrest of a person who was trying to get away with selling this stolen card. I'm going to tell the story and we can all just relish in the beauty of sweet justice. Before we get into that, if you're not already a subscriber here on Gem Mint MTG and you enjoy content like this, hit that subscribe button and join in the fun, because I'm going to be talking about this kind of stuff all the time here on Gem Mint MTG. All right, so let's get into this. So what happened with this was there was a BGS 9.5 Library of Alexandria that was sold on eBay. The card was shipped, and then the buyer got the package, but the box had been cut open and its content had been removed. So the original seller reached a solution with the buyer and the card was gone. The buyer filed a case with the local police and the U.S. Postal Service and was told it's unlikely to be recovered, which is usually how these things end, unfortunately. So about 3 months later, the card shows up on eBay. And because these are graded cards and they're serialized, you can't get away with this stuff as easily. That's yet another of the reasons that I like graded cards and prefer graded cards for high-end collecting. But so this card shows up on eBay, and it's 2 hours away from the original buyer. So likely it was intercepted by somebody, close to the original buyer's location. So once it comes out, once it comes up for sale on eBay, the card is purchased and the payment is withheld, because this has basically become a sting operation, because everybody knows that the card is stolen and the person selling this card either knows or doesn't know that their card is stolen. Either it's the person who stole the card or it's somebody else who got the card after that card was stolen. So the buyer files another claim with the United States Postal Service, and then this is where the community came together. I'm not going to name names just because it's not that important, and I don't know if anybody doesn't want their name put out there. But basically, people in the graded community who have a connection with the police, people at PSA who authenticates these cards for eBay, basically start corroborating the evidence that they have on the seller of the card and the card in question. So March 30th is when the card is sold, intercepted, stolen, and then it's June that filing is done with the police. And then at the end of June, the people at PSA are put on watch that, hey, this card is stolen, so when it comes up for verification, please intercept it because there's an open police investigation. There's somebody else in the community who knows somebody at eBay's senior investigation team. So that person is notified to basically get the ball rolling on this, because in the grand scheme of things, these kinds of cards are not eBay's biggest problem, and a lot of times, you can kind of get lost in a sea of customer service. So what happens is the person who put the card up for sale on eBay was not the person who stole the card. They had purchased that card from a local gaming store. So what happened was the police went and interrogated or questioned the person selling the card, and they said, "Whoa, hang on. I'm just selling this card that I purchased from a local gaming store. I did not steal this card." And so basically the story then moves to the local gaming store. The local gaming store says, "Hey, somebody came in and sold this card to us. We did not know that it was stolen. No idea. Somebody came in, We get people coming in here selling cards all the time. I mean, that's pretty much business as usual for a local gaming store. They're not going to look up every single card that comes through the door. So they had purchased the card that was stolen, sold that card to another person who then put it on eBay. So there was I think what it sounds like, there was a little bit of a case of mistaken identity, where people were, basically looking at either the person selling the card as someone involved in the theft, possibly the local gaming store, and both of those things ended up not being true. So what happened was, the local gaming store had the information of the person selling the card. That information was given to the United States Postal Service Theft Division, or whatever they call that. And the card was basically held. The thief was questioned, and then the U.S. Postal Service said, "Hey, we found the guy. We had other thefts." Evidence of other thefts from this person, and the USPS said that they have enough information to put the thief on trial. The thief was found, and they are going to be put on trial for their crimes. And in the end, the card was returned to the original buyer, and hopefully the LGS and that other seller are all made whole and do not suffer any consequences from the fallout of this action. So in the end, it was the U.S. Postal Service, Theft Division, eBay, PSA waiting to intercept the card being authenticated, the local gaming store, the person who purchased the card from the local gaming store, putting it on sale, the original seller who put it up for the first time. All of these people got together, banded together, used the resources that they had to track down this scamming thief and put him in jail. And it's just so satisfying to see good stuff like this happening. It really sucks when bad things happen to good people. And, this is just a case of absolutely sweet justice served in the graded Magic the Gathering community and the high-end community at large, because this scamming stuff is just, it really sucks that we have to deal with this. I mean, scams and things happen in every market, in every category, especially collectibles, but for when there's a case like this, it really hits home, because there's a lot of people who get scammed and stuff, especially on eBay, and seeing somebody actually get caught in such a crazy web of the card changing hands and money changing hands and everything. And in the end, they were able to find the perpetrator, and that perpetrator will go on trial and hopefully serve jail time for their crimes. So another interesting and important point of this story is that, had it not been for that eBay authentication service, this might have not happened, because one of the key parts of this story is that there was somebody who knew the people at PSA. They got in contact with the people at PSA, and those are the people who authenticate these cards as they get sold on eBay, which is something that I didn't know, that even graded cards get authenticated by PSA before they are sent to the buyer of the card. And that ended up being a great thing in this case, because they were able to basically put this card on watch and say, hey, this is a stolen card. Here's the police report. When this card comes up for authentication, we need to intercept the card and interview the seller of that card and see what their story is. And in the end, that's what allowed this investigative team to get put in touch with the seller, and then ultimately pointed to the local gaming store, who then pointed to the thief who had sold it to that local gaming store. So had it not been for this PSA authentication and the notification given to them, this might have not happened. So I know that there was some, controversy about the authentication services that eBay does now, but I think that, for the hassle that it creates, it also does a lot of good. And I think, it's good that you don't have to worry about buying fake cards on eBay. That was a huge deal in the last few years. People selling high-end cards that were just complete fakes, and then you go through the hassle of trying to get your money back and all of that stuff. So you kind of eliminate that portion of it. And then when something like this comes up where there's blatant fraudulent or stolen cards, this having this measure in between of where the card needs to be authenticated, basically provided the opportunity for that card to be intercepted and that seller to be interviewed. So I thought that was a really important point. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope it brought a little bit of good news to your day. It's always so crappy when, bad things happen to good people. And, for all of the good people in the Magic collecting and grading community, unfortunately, there are bad apples. And it's just great to see people brought to justice for just doing crappy things to good people. And, I hope that you enjoyed this story. So in the end, justice was served. This person is getting put on trial. Hopefully they get put in jail. Hopefully they have a huge fine and they never do this crap again, because this is something we should not have to deal with. But unfortunately, in the world of collectibles and everywhere in the world, but collectibles especially, scams, frauds, fakes, thieves, these things happen, and sometimes it feels like there's never any justice in this world, in this particular community, that this kind of stuff, it just gets written off by eBay or whatever, and people get away with so much stuff. But in the end, when this actually happens and people come together in the community and the resources are put together and all the parties get involved and actually hunt these people down and find them and bring them to justice, is just absolutely awesome. And I hope more stuff like this happens, because no one deserves to have this happen to them. So anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate you. If you're not already a subscriber here on Gem Mint MTG, hit that subscribe button and join in the fun, because we're going to be talking about this kind of stuff all the time here. All right, till next time, thanks. Have a great one.